Hey guys, today I'm going to be reviewing Zorin OS 12.2, the Ultimate Edition of Zorin OS. For those that are not familiar with Zorin, Zorin is an Ubuntu-based Linux distribution. The Zorin OS 12.2 Ultimate Edition I'm reviewing today is based on the LTS Ubuntu 16.04. From their blurb on their homepage, Zorin OS is an alternative to Windows and Mac OS designed to make your computer faster, more powerful, and secure. So basically, Zorin OS, it is geared toward those Windows and Mac users out there that are considering a switch to Linux. Basically, it's trying to make that transition a little smoother, a little easier for those Windows and Mac users that are interested in maybe coming over to Linux. So when you click on the download tab here at the top of their webpage, on their download page, you're offered a couple of different versions of Zorin. The first one listed, of course, is Zorin OS 12.2 Ultimate. This is their paid-for version of Zorin. They want 19 euros plus any tax that may be applicable depending on your location. That translated to me for $24 US is what I paid for the Ultimate edition of Zorin. And included in Zorin OS Ultimate, the best business and media apps, over 20 fun games, added Mac OS, GNOME 2, and Unity desktop layouts, so a variety of different desktop layouts to mimic other operating systems, so that's cool. Video wallpapers, that's interesting. I can't wait to check that out. And of course we get Zorin support, since we're paying for this version of Zorin, I would expect some support options to be available for us. Alright, and for those that want to download a free version of Zorin, they have Zorin OS Core. And that one comes with your standard free and open source software you would expect, like LibreOffice. It's useful accessories, utilities. It also mentions that Zorin is safe from viruses and malware. Pretty much every Linux distro is safe from viruses and malware. That's why we're running Linux and not Windows or Mac OS. Anyway, Windows and GNOME 3 desktop layouts, also in Zorin OS Core, probably has fewer of them, though, in the free version. It also mentions compatible with Windows apps, so I'm assuming Wine is also installed on Zorin. Anyway, you click on Purchase Zorin OS 12.2 Ultimate, and it takes you to, credit card payments or PayPal payments. Again, it's 19 euros, 24 US dollars for payment. And even though I don't plan on running Zorin OS, on any of my main machines, I'm going to go ahead and pay the $24 just for this review. I don't mind throwing a few bucks, toward a free and open source project, supporting guys that are doing good work out there. So I'm going to pay for Zorin OS 12.2 Ultimate and install this inside VirtualBox. Alright, so I downloaded the ISO and I'm installing this inside VirtualBox. That ISO size, by the way, for the Ultimate Edition, 3.7 gigabytes in size. So it's a rather large ISO, but we expected that. After all, we're purchasing Zorin OS 12 Ultimate, and it comes with a lot of extra software on their Ultimate package, so I knew the ISO would be large. And we're waiting for this to boot us, I guess, directly into a live environment. This may take a minute. Still waiting on the live environment to load. Alright, and the live environment has loaded. And, well, it's not completely loaded, has it? Yeah, I think it has. This doesn't look like your standard Zorin desktop, though. I mean, it looks more like GNOME 3 here. But anyway, it automatically launches our installer. This is the Ubiquity installer, the standard installer in Ubuntu, of course. So should be very straightforward. I'm just going to run through the installer real quick here. I'm going to choose Install Zorin here. Right, we have the options of downloading updates while installing Zorin. I'll tick that on. Install third-party software for graphics, Wi-Fi. This is all your proprietary drivers, multimedia codecs. I'm definitely going to tick that on. I'm going to choose Continue. Alright, for the partitioning, we have the option of erase disk and install Zorin, letting Zorin have the entire hard drive of this virtual machine. That's what I'm going to choose. For those that need to do manual partitioning, go down here and choose something else to set up your partitions manually. It warns me it's going to format the drive right to the disk. It also It's going to create a extended for file system. It's going to create a swap partition. I click continue. Right, time zone. It's chosen the correct time zone for me. I click continue. Keyboard layout. It is correctly chosen English US for me. I can test that out in this field. I'm going to click continue. Right, we need to create our username and password. Click continue. Alright, and the installer starts. This will probably take 5 to 10 minutes for the installer to complete. I'm going to pause the video for a second. Okay, the installer ran for about 10 minutes, and then I've got this error. No space left on the device. I would think the installer should be smart enough to know how much space it needed before it ever started the install. It should have just warned me before I ever clicked OK. Hey, you didn't make a hard drive big enough for this virtual machine. So that's 10 minutes of wasted time here. So let me close this out. I'm going to create a bigger hard drive on this virtual machine, and I'm going to run through the install again. Okay guys, the installer has completed. I have to reboot the machine, and I'm going to do that now. Okay, I've rebooted the machine, and we wait for Zorin OS 12.2 Ultimate to load. Let's see how long boot up time takes. It looks like we're going to get to our login manager pretty fast. Okay, yep. And let me type in my password. Oh, password. Did I not type it right? I must have not hit the right keys before. I wasn't looking at the keyboard. Alright, and the Zorin desktop has loaded here. Really beautiful desktop. Now, this is the very first time I've ever looked at Zorin. I've never installed Zorin before. I've never checked it out. I don't know that much about it, other than I've always known that it was mainly designed to kind of mimic Windows in a lot of ways. It's for those Windows users coming to Linux. And I will say that by default, out of the box, it does a pretty good job of having that Windows 7 kind of look and feel, especially at the taskbar here. You got your icons only launchers here. Let's check the menu out. Yeah, you know, pretty standard kind of menu here. Their desktop environment, by the way, is based on GNOME, so this, GNOME 3. Obviously, they're doing some major customizations to get it to look and function like this Windows 7 look and feel here, but look sharp, look sharp. So, what do we get with the Ultimate Edition of Zorin OS 12.2? Well, let's check out the menu system. Now, that ISO was 3.7 gigs inside, so I expect to have a ton of software installed by default. Under Accessories, we have our Activity Journal. I'm not sure what that's going to be. Let's check that out. Alright, Activity Journal 0.8.0. A viewport into the past powered by Zeitgeist. Okay, that's pretty cool. Well, I guess you can create your own little personal journal here at your computer. You got some calendar functionality to it. Pretty cool little program. I've actually never seen that before. We also have our calculator. We have clocks. We have documents. Let's see what documents is. Alright, this is the GNOME documents. Documents 3.18.3. A document manager application. So they're going to use a lot of the standard GNOME 3 apps. Files, of course, is the file manager in the GNOME desktop environment. This is Nautilus. Now GNOME just simply calls it Files in their menu system. Nautilus is a fantastic file manager, though. We have the GNOME Maps utility. We have Notes for our note-taking utility. PDF mod for PDFs. We have Photos. This is the GNOME Photos, I'm assuming. GNOME does their own photo manager. Yeah, the GNOME Photos 3.18.2. Access, organize, and share your photos on GNOME. So let me close out this. Alright, also under Accessories, we have Redshift, we have Synergy, we have our text editor. This should be gedit. Gedit is the standard text editor in the GNOME desktop environment. Yeah, gedit 3.18.3. We have To-Do. Now, To-Do is an interesting little note-taking note-taking app. I haven't actually seen that installed by default on any other Linux distros I've reviewed before. VirtualBox is installed by default as well. Now, that's interesting. You don't see VirtualBox installed by default on a lot of Linux distros either. We have the GNOME Weather app, and we have Xjournal. I'm assuming this is another journal utility. Yeah, looks pretty cool. I like how they have it themed to mimic paper, like out of a paper notebook. Right, under the games category here in the menu, we have Airstrike, Alright Solitaire. We have Armageddon Advanced, Brutal Chess, Extreme Tux Racer. Tux Racer is a pretty cool little game. I actually know that. And that's the penguin that slides down the mountain. That's pretty cool. Frets on Fire is a music game. Frozen Bubble is a cool little game. Been around forever, but a neat little puzzle game. Almost Tetris-like. Not really Tetris-like, but you shoot at bubbles on the screen and they fall down and yada yada yada. Mahjong, Mines, Mind Test, Neverball. Neverball's a cool game too. I know that one. Never Putt, Pingus, Quadrapassel. That is a Tetris-like game. That's a cool game. Sudoku, of course. We have Super Tux Kart, and Trigger, Warzone. I'm not sure what X Moto is. Probably some kind of a motorcycle game. Maybe a motocross kind of game. And Zonotic. Zonotic is a fantastic first-person shooter game. Free and open source first-person shooter. So they had mentioned that there was 20 games installed by default on the Ultimate Edition of Zorin OS, and that's pretty cool. So you have some cool little games. Under graphics, we have Blender, we have Darktable. I mean, you've got some really cool graphical programs installed by default. I can understand why the ISO was so big, but for those of you that are like wanting more business applications, more professional applications, especially for graphics and multimedia, you might want to just go ahead and throw a few bucks Zorin's way and get the Ultimate Edition of Zorin. Anyway, Darktable 2.0.3. There are no images in this collection. Of course, we don't have any image files on this yet. It's a brand new install. Also under graphics, we have Dia. We have our ebook viewer. We have FreeCAD. So we actually have a CAD program installed by default. We have GIMP, of course. Let's load up GIMP. GIMP is our free and open source alternative to something like Adobe Photoshop. It's an image editor. See about GIMP. GIMP 2.8.16. This is the GNU Image Manipulation Program, which we shorten to GIMP usually when we refer to this program. Alright, also under graphics, we have 3 utilities from Hugin. We have the Hugin Batch Processor, Hugin Calibrate Lens, and Hugin Panorama Creator. I'm assuming these are camera programs. I've never played around with those before. I've never actually heard of those before. We have Inkscape. Inkscape is another image editing program where GIMP is mainly for raster programs. Inkscape is for for raster images. Inkscape is for vector graphics. Also, we have LibreCAD, another CAD program, LibreOffice Draw. We have our LRF viewer, a document viewer. We have MyPaint. We have Scribus, or Scribus, I'm not sure exactly how they pronounce that one. Simple Scan, of course, is our scanning utility. Under Internet, we have Chromium for our web browser. We also have Empathy. Empathy is our like instant messaging client. Yeah, you can connect all your online accounts. Pretty cool little program. Not too many people do any kind of instant messaging anymore, but it's cool that they have it on there for those that need it. Geary is our email client. Gabi, I'm not sure what Gabi is. Alright, welcome to Gabi. Before we start, a few options need to be configured. Allow remote users to edit local documents. So this is a collaborative, text editor of some kind. Pretty neat for those of you using this in like a business kind of environment. That actually would probably be a pretty useful program. Then we have the Liferia, that's an RSS newsfeed reader. We have Remina for our remote desktops. We have the Transmission BitTorrent client. This is the standard BitTorrent client in the GNOME desktop environment. And rounding out Internet, we have Zorin web browser, Is that the man page or the manual for Zorin OS? Let's see. Zorin Web Browser Manager. Okay, this is where we can install whatever web browser we want. Chromium came by default on the ISO, so we can remove Chromium and we can install Firefox, GNOME Web, or Midori. So that's pretty cool. Right, under Office, we have quite a bit of Office programs installed. We have Calendar, we have Calibre. Calibre is like an e-reader program, to get ebooks on your Kindle and devices like that. We have our contacts, we have Dictionary, we have our ebook viewer. G-labels, we have GNU Cache. I'm not sure what GNU Cache is. Let's see, tip of the day. You can easily import your existing financial data from Quicken, MS Money, and other programs. Okay, so it's one of those kind of programs. Free accounting software. We also have Home Bank. It's another program I'm not familiar with. Free, easy, personal accounting for everyone. So we got some free and open source accounting software installed here under the Office category. And then, of course, we have the LibreOffice suite. Not the entire suite, but they have the important ones. Calc, Draw, Impress, and Writer are all installed. Then we have a planner. We have Referencer. We have View Your Mind. I'm not sure what View Your Mind is. Do you allow View Your Mind to check online for updates or release notes? No, I'm not going to allow that right now because I'm not even sure what this program is. Let's see. About View Your Mind. A tool to put things you have got in your mind into a map. So I guess it's kind of like a planner or journal, some kind of utility for, I guess, planning your day. Under Programming, all we have is Builder and Bluefish Editor. Again, the Ultimate Edition really wasn't geared for programming. It was more for business kind of applications, Sound and video. We have quite a bit of sound and video programs installed. We have Ardour 4. We have Audacity, which is an audio editor. We have Bracero, which is GNOME's disk burning utility. We have Cheese, which is a webcam app. Cheese Speaker, which is an electronic synth speaker, basically text to speech. Handbrake. Let's open up Handbrake. Right, Handbrake 0.10.2. Handbrake is a GPL licensed multi-platform, multi-threaded video transcoder. I don't think I've seen Handbrake installed on any other distro by default before, but it's a very cool program. All right, also under sound and video, we have Kazam, we have Kdenlive, which is a fantastic video editor, probably the best free and open source video editor available. Kodi Media Center is installed by default. All right, that's pretty cool. Kodi from Debian here. Also under sound and video, we have LMMS. LMMS is a great music creation program. It's the Linux Multimedia Studio. We have Mix, another music program. Pativi, another video editor. Q-Jack CTL, I'm assuming that's a jack controller. Rhythmbox, of course, is the standard audio player in the GNOME desktop environments. Fantastic music player. We have Sound Recorder. We have Transmageddon Video Transcoder, I'm assuming is what this is. I'm not going to bother playing around with it. Let's get through the sound and video programs. We have the GNOME Videos. That's the standard video player in the GNOME desktop environment. VLC, of course, is also installed. VLC is a fantastic multimedia player for Linux. Under System Tools, we have our disk utility. We have Input Method, Online Accounts, OpenJDK for Java programs. We have Settings. This should be just our Settings Manager here. It is. Standard Settings Manager that you see in like GNOME. We have our software utility. I'm assuming this is the same like software sources and things you see in standard Ubuntu. Actually, this is the GNOME Software Center. This is the GNOME Software app. Pretty cool little graphical way of discovering programs. Software and updates. I'm assuming this is your standard. Yeah, this is the standard Ubuntu software and updates. You can add and remove repos. You can get your additional third-party proprietary drivers installed. We have startup applications, startup disk creator, Windows wireless drivers. We have Zorin Appearance. Let's see what Zorin Appearance is about. Okay, and this is where we can change the layout. Let's see. By default, it looks like this one is set, and it doesn't mention what it is, but let's click this one and see what happens. Okay, the bar at the bottom gets a little smaller. The menu system looks the same, and instead of having icons only in the taskbar, it looks like we have a little bit, we have the title also included. Let's see. Change back to the first one. Yeah, it's your standard like Windows 7 icons only taskbar. This one has a more traditional icon plus title of the window down here. And then this layout here, I'm not sure what that layout is supposed to be. Okay, this is just your standard GNOME 3 layout. And this one here looks like GNOME 2. That's really cool. This is like the old GNOME 2 layout with your taskbar at the bottom and then applications and places here at the top. Mimicking the old GNOME 2 desktop environment, which has been dead for many years. I think GNOME 2 was like 8 years ago. GNOME 3's been around for a long time. Then this one here is mimicking Unity. Oh, really, really cool. I like that. Yeah, so for those of you looking for something kind of Unity-like, now that Unity is basically a dead project, you might check out Zorin Ultimate. Then this one here with the dock at the bottom and the panel at the top. I guess this is more for a Mac kind of style. And then themes here, where you can change the colors. I'm assuming this is the coloring of the bars and stuff. Let me go back to the default theme here though. The default desktop layout. And this is our default theme. Let me open up a file browser. Let's see what changes when I click. Okay, that changes to a dark theme. I kind of like that if I'm going to use a light wallpaper. Let me just click on a few of these. Now it changes the icon colors. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. I'm not sure if I like that one. And the purple could be interesting with the right kind of wallpaper. Then this white and light gray, pretty cool stuff. I'm going to go, I think I'll just go with black and blue here. Just something simple. We have options to change fonts. We also have options for our panel, where we want this panel on the screen, top, bottom. We also have some intelligent auto hide features we can turn on and off. We can adjust the height of the panel. We can adjust the opacity of the panel. And we can also show desktop button. It's set to on by default. We can set it to off. If I right click on the desktop and choose change background, let's see what kind of wallpaper options we have. I would expect with a 3.7 gigabyte ISO, we should have quite a number of wallpapers installed by default. That's pretty cool. There, the picture of the moon with the Zorin logo behind it. We have some galaxy, space pictures. I have some nature photographs. Since I chose a black theme, I should probably choose a lighter colored wallpaper. How about something like this? Yeah, that looks pretty cool. One thing I would mention is that the theming of the window or the start panel here, the menu, is black with these blue highlightings. It's also the same for our calendar, time and date down here, and probably in the notifications. I'm not sure if you can change that black background. I'm assuming that there's some kind of options for theming. I know you can change a lot of this stuff in the GNOME shell, so I imagine that if you can find where these config files live, you could probably edit some of this. Let's check out system resources. So let's see if they had a system monitoring tool somewhere installed. You know what? I will use the search feature here in the menu. So system. Oh, and then the first thing that comes up is system monitor. Assuming this is your standard GNOME system monitor. So I'm going to click the resources tab here. I gave this virtual machine 2 cores of my 6-core CPU, and it's using about 50% of those 2 cores. So pretty high CPU usage. But then again, GNOME 3 is kind of high CPU usage. This is based on GNOME 3, plus some extra stuff, no doubt, is thrown in on top of GNOME 3. Memory usage is pretty high too, 1.5 gigs of memory. I gave this virtual machine 6 gigs of memory, so I still got plenty of memory left, but still, 1.5 gigs of memory being used is a lot for not really doing much on this desktop right now, other than just running the system monitor. I'm going to open a terminal. Now in Ubuntu, the terminal is hotkeyed to Control-Alt-T, so I'm assuming Zorin would also have that key binding being based on Ubuntu, and it does. Control-Alt-T opens your terminal. I'm going to type uname space -r, and that gets us the kernel version for this, 4.10.0. That's an old kernel, but then again, this is a Ubuntu 16.04 LTS based distro. So it's going to have an older kernel, but that's a very stable kernel. So I imagine Zorin OS 12.2 overall is going to be a pretty stable and reliable distro for you. Shouldn't be really any breakages, no major breakages anyway, in something like this. So what do I think of Zorin OS? I think it fills a role. It definitely has its place. Having a distro that mimics Windows, is basically designed to make Windows users comfortable. It has its place. I understand the purpose of something like Zorin OS. It's not a distro for me, of course, but I understand that there are those out there that would love Zorin OS. I know a lot of newer Linux users that would love something like Zorin OS. The install, dead simple. It's your standard Ubuntu Ubiquity installer. You click OK 3 times and you're done in about 10 to 15 minutes. The installer took a little longer for Zorin because there's more stuff being installed, but 15 minutes is about all that it took for the install to run. The desktop, beautiful desktop. My only complaints with it is CPU and memory usage is a little high. I am running this in a virtual machine though, but I haven't had any weird graphical glitches. I haven't had any programs crash or anything. It's even in the virtual machine, things are running pretty smoothly. I mean, I'm moving windows around and stuff in it, and everything just works. So I'm pretty happy, even though this is not a distro that I plan on running on any of my physical hardware ever. I'm happy I contributed to their project, paid them a little money, and got the Zorin OS Ultimate Edition for this review. I think these guys are doing good work, and I'm happy to support them. Overall, I give this distro a thumbs up. Check them out, Zorin OS, guys. Peace.